What is going on, everybody? Shwazy here, and in today's video we are at the Rocky Mountain Drive event hosted by the Rocky Mountain Automotive Press. Huge thank you to RMAP and all of the manufacturers for bringing out all these vehicles. In today's video we're going to be talking about some of the cool cars standing behind me. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, here we have the Lexus IS 500. This is essentially the replacement to the old prior generation ISF, because of course they don't make the ISF anymore. And the reason I say it's the replacement is because it has a big V8 under the hood. And we'll talk about that in just a second, but I quickly want to do a outside shot to show you what it looks like, because this is the updated generation of the Lexus IS, and they updated it a couple years ago, and it's kind of an evolution of the prior design. I mean, as you can see, you have kind of similar taillights, but this time they stretch across from driver to passenger side. You have the double rear exhaust pipes over here stacked, similar to what you'd find in the ISF. So even though Lexus doesn't call this the ISF for some reason, it has very similar cues. You have this nice body line that runs across into the door panel, and then a second body line that stretches across to the front. And personally, I think this updated styling finally looks more proportional than the prior generation. The prior one had some weirder curves. This one kind of has a more uniform, aggressive style to the front end. And personally, I really like the look of this Lexus IS. The prior generation was good, but this is definitely an advancement. You also have this bulging hood on the IS 500 because it's meant to house a bigger engine, and for that reason it has to be a larger hood. I do like the LED headlights with the 3 LED large bulbs inside of it. It just looks very mean in the rear view mirror, and I think it matches the spindle grille. You also have an updated front splitter over here. But let's pop the hood and show you what's going on under there. All right, so what do we have under the hood of the IS? Well, as you can see, it says F Sport, almost a simulated like carbon fiber. It looks pretty cool. And what we have going on over here is a 5-liter V8 engine that produces 472 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque. This thing will do 0 to 60 in just about 4.4 seconds. So it's a wicked quick engine. It's not as quick as like the C63 or the BMW M3, but it's not really competing against those because the price point is a little bit lower. Now, in case you're wondering about fuel economy, which I don't know if you would, but it's 17 in the city, 25 on the highway, so not too bad considering this is a big traditional V8 engine. And then all of that power is sent through an 8-speed automatic transmission, with the only option being a rear-wheel drive. So I'm a little disappointed they don't offer all-wheel drive to be able to put a little bit more of that power to the ground and maybe be able to take this in some snowy conditions like we are here in Colorado. But for all of you enthusiasts of like muscle car, this is kind of the closest to that because you can only get it in a rear-wheel drive variant. Now, this one also has a performance suspension because it's meant to be a more sportier vehicle and handle better. And you also have a limited slip differential, so that helps you with a little bit more traction as you're taking it on a curve. Now, another thing to point out is the body style is slightly wider because this is the sport-tuned version. And then in terms of brakes, you do have 4-piston caliper brakes, and you've got 19-inch performance wheels. So this should definitely provide for some better on-road stability. Now let's jump inside and talk about the interior. Taking a look inside the door panel, you've got soft touch materials over here, typical Lexus window switches. Everything's nice leather padded. You kind of have this cool texture to the door panel, nothing too crazy. I do wish they offered some different colors. My understanding is black is the only option for this one, but perhaps the builder has been updated to offer some different colors. You have some nice perforated seats, and then jumping inside, just a small update to the previous generation. It looks very similar to what you found in the prior gen Lexus, just bigger screens and some pretty cool tech. You do have this movable display over here. I believe it's probably about an 8 or 10-inch display, but as you can see, the speedometer section or the tachometer will move left and right depending on, you know, what sport mode or what drive mode you're in. And the steering wheel is nice and beefy, very thick, something I've always really liked about Lexus products. On the right-hand side, you have some buttons to be able to move this display left and right. And you can also control this center display by pushing some of the buttons over here on the steering wheel. You also have some of your lane keep and adaptive cruise control functionality. Over here on the left-hand side, you have some of your volume controls, your Seek track settings, and your voice activation. And then moving over here, this is where it's a little bit updated from the prior gen. You have a 10.3-inch touchscreen over here with wired CarPlay and Android Auto. There's no wireless functionality, unfortunately, and it's a pretty okay system. You know, nothing too crazy here. If you guys have used Lexus products in the past, you'll be familiar with this. I do think it's a little bit dated compared to what Toyota currently offers in some of their vehicles, and I think some of the newer gen Lexuses have some more updated software, but it's not bad overall, and you can control it with this haptic feedback control over here, which kind of vibrates when you go over certain icons, letting you know it's in the right area. Now, you do have a 360-degree camera over here, which the camera quality is okay. It kind of does this sweeping motion, and then you can regulate through different modes. It's kind of odd, like you can only pause it, but you can't shift it to where you want it to go. It's okay. I mean, putting it in reverse, you can see some of the other angles. It does give you a top-down view, but it's just not as robust of a system as some of the German competitors. At the same time, it is nice that they offer one. And then moving down here, you have your vents. You've got some touchscreen controls for your dual zone climate control, some physical buttons for your fan speed, a CD player, which is something I haven't seen in a car for quite a few years. And then you do have your Mark Levinson premium sound system, heated and ventilated seats, which is nice, a traditional gear selector, which is kind of unique nowadays because everybody's trying to make some pretty fancy looking gear selectors. And then here are your different drive modes, which do change the displays of your center stack. You have a snow mode as well, and then like I said, you have some quick access buttons here with the touchpad. Opening up this little compartment, it's not too big here. You do have 2 USB ports down here and an auxiliary jack. I'm not seeing any type of wireless charger on the interior, which is surprising because this is a new model year. Some nice leather touch surfaces over here. I do like the way the air vents have this circular shape to them. Now jumping into the back, you've got some nice soft touch materials here, 2 air vents, a pretty large center hump, and then typical same nice seats, perforated leather. Then you've got 2 cup holders over here as well by pushing this button. Nothing too crazy here. You don't have any type of panoramic sunroof, you just have a traditional sunroof, and you do have a rear sunshade that you can regulate from the front seats. Now in terms of driving dynamics, I took this on a quick little test drive. It feels pretty quick, nothing insane amount of power, but it is fun to drive this car and hear that V8 engine and just kind of feel the dynamics of a traditional V8. There's no replacement for displacement, there's no lag on this thing. It just kind of accelerates, feels powerful, feels very similar to other V8 sedans. It's definitely not as quick as some of these supercharged or turbocharged engines that are in this same class segment, but it is a good engine. Now, in terms of pricing, you're starting at around $59,420, which is less than the C63s and the M3s. It's kind of meant to compete with like the C43 AMG, so it's kind of the mid-class in terms of the performance, and it's a pretty good bargain. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the Lexus IS 500. Would you pick this over the competition, and why? All right, well, there you have it, folks. That was the Rocky Mountain Drive event hosted by RMAP. Huge thank you again to all the manufacturers and RMAP for hosting this event. If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly videos. Also check me out on all the social media at Schwazy_. Until next time, everybody, I hope you stay Schwazy, stay healthy, have a wonderful day.